So how did you then go through to the point where you started your first business?
Yeah, don't get me started on innovation within SMEs because that's where it is, and that's where all big companies know that. The government knows that, and we should be backing SMEs much more than we are. So I'll come off my soapbox now. I started For North about 6 years ago. I'd come out of that business and I had 7 months off, and I was just really, really stressed out. I often talk about my burnout journey. I burnt out 3 times within my 30s just by pushing too hard,
Wow.
by working overseas, by working long hours, and just going all in to grow the company. But I also got quite addicted to winning work. It was like gamification. I was incentivized, so bonuses, commission. And then we start, in my 30s, we wanted a bigger house, more children, and you just thinking if I can just make that sale, and if I can get it in this year, then that means we can buy that house, go on holiday, whatever it is. And I was just push and push and push to the point where I kind of burnt out. And when I started this business, I was like, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen to me, and that's not going to happen to my team. I really don't want that ever to happen again. So I built this business to help other people's companies grow through sales and marketing. But I built it based on culture. I didn't base it on figures, Steve. I didn't sort of put targets in place. What I wanted to do was just be good to people, have a really good culture, and the numbers take care of itself, just down to relationship building. And it has, it's absolutely. I've never worked a day in the last 6 years. I absolutely love it.
When did you, I'd love to pick your brains on the journey, purely because I speak to a lot of people that a lot of whom are in employment, but they have the burning idea to start a business, all the way through to people that are just started, etc.
Yeah.
But almost at what point did you get the itch? Because obviously, I guess when you had some time off, you could have got another job.
Yeah.
What was it that made you want to take the leap?
I think I'd gone through a really bad time at work, Steve. I literally couldn't work for anybody. I think I became quite unemployable just through working through bad cultures. I'd done a little bit consultancy work after that as well. And I just was seeing companies that are just purely led on short-termism, trying to grow, not looking after the teams, very much figures based. And
Very common.
I just thought I literally can't do it. It's not me inside. I kind of really grill a colleague because they haven't performed in the way that I wanted them to perform, or the company wanted them to perform. So, everyone will say, I wish I had the opportunity to start a business. I've heard that many times and I just can't do it. Or even things in life, Steve, people will say, I might get married next year, or we're going to move house maybe in 2 years' time.
Manana.
Maybe next. Yeah, of course. And we might have a baby then. And it's just like, now you got to do it now. Because I always didn't want to have that shoulda, woulda, coulda thing, or get into maybe 60s, 70s. And there's lots of entrepreneurs do start businesses at that age. But I wanted to do it. And I think I was 40 actually. I had a huge mortgage as well and everything. I'd really had mortgage anxiety. I was looking at my bills thinking, I've got to earn this. And then actually when I dialed it back, I thought, well, you don't need all the flash cars and, the nice holidays and things like that. Cut your cloth accordingly. So basically, I just looked at what was the least I could live on, and then thought, right, could I start a business and pay myself that? So I always say to people, I'd never earned as little, I'd never worked as hard, but I'd never been as happy.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I used to our career paths are actually very similar, because I worked in sales and business development. And then likewise, I always wanted to buy nice cars. And for me, it was the point of when I was growing up, I could never have had them. And actually, so to achieve it was a really big personal achievement. But actually, once I'd done it, I was actually quite happy to sell it and let it go. But actually, when I started this, I did exactly the same. And I actually sold when the second lockdown was going to hit. I had an E-Class Mercedes, and it was just, I wasn't using it, but actually it wasn't making me happy, as where the fulfillment of actually just doing this and talking to you now makes me happy. But it was the point. So I drive a almost 10-year-old Kia Ceed now, and I absolutely love it because it just gets me from house to here. And for me, the joy is in the creativity of trying to do something, even if it fails. But that's where I get my contentment from. It's got nothing to do with, fancy things. That being said, it had its place and it helped me in the journey. But now, exactly what you just said, I've never earned less, but actually I'm really enjoying it, which is cool.
It's funny you talk about failure. In this country, failure, it's frowned upon. It's like a scarlet letter if you fail, if you haven't succeeded in the company, or you've tried another company and it's went bust. In other countries, that's kind of like experience, and
In
people
America,
love
they
that.
celebrate it a lot more.
Yeah, 100%. And it's quite frowned upon here, and I just can't get my head around it, to be honest.